So if you are a mom working in real estate, or if you have a mom, because I don't know, Taylor, I think this applies to anybody, but I mean, I know we're going to talk to mainly to, to moms working in real estate today, but I think anybody, like, because everyone has a mom, like if you want to grow and scale your business and do it in a way to not lose touch with everything else in your life, I think that's what we're talking about. So I want to introduce you to Taley Hunt. I didn't realize that you have an MBA. I didn't even realize you have an MBA.
Yep, I
She has an
do.
MBA. She's an agent. She's a realtor. And I was introduced to her recently, started following her on social and have been blown away by what you've created.
Thank
So
you.
t
I
tell us a
appreciate
little bit about your, like, how did you get in real estate? Tell us a little, for the people that don't know you, tell us your story.
Yeah, so I started in real estate in 2020, like at the end of 2020. I got licensed in the summer that year, and then I was pregnant. I found out I was pregnant on the day of my exam, and so I went through trimester one with all that nausea and all the sickness, and I got married at the same time. And so once I got past that little hump, I got started. I started working in like probably somewhere around October. I got my first client in November. And then my story is that I'm actually originally from North Carolina. My service area, my market is Columbia, South Carolina and surrounding, but I'm originally from North Carolina. So in 2020, I moved to a new state. I got pregnant, I got married, we bought a house, and I got my real estate license and quit my full-time job all in 1 year. It was a crazy year. And then the next year, I sold my first house in February, had my baby in March, and sold 28 houses that year. I have a degree in mass communications and a master's in business. So I did, I was 24 when I got started, 25 during my first full year. And I did my first full year without childcare and never paid for any online leads. We've never paid for an online lead ever. I went from 28 units in year one to 86 in year two to 145 in year three. And then year four, I started the journey of becoming a team leader and an owner. And so last year, my team sold 160, and this year we're at like 58 painted and sold for the year so far. It's been crazy.
Okay, I just want to rewind because like I'm from California, I'm from San Diego. In case the accent didn't translate, she said she sold 28 in year one. What was year two? 80 what in year two?
86,
86 in year two. And what was year three was
145.
145. And you didn't start a team yet. This is like you.
Correct. This is me. I did have admin support. So year one was me, like I was wearing every single hat in my business. The next year, I hired childcare for 6 hours a day. I had a transaction coordinator per file, and I hired like a random assistant. Year three, when I did 145, I had a little bit more support. My husband was active duty Army, but he switched over to the reserves, so he was more available to help, especially with my daughter. And then he also was able to kind of step in as like once we got consistent childcare for her, he was able to step in and do all the things. And then I hired a transaction coordinator on salary. So I had someone that could be more dedicated to our team, a virtual assistant. So got a little bit more leveraged in year three, but year four last year is when I started a team.
Okay. So we I know we have more than like 25 minutes of content, but we're going to keep it half an hour. We're going to get to really actionable strategies, but I just got to know a couple more things at the beginning because this blows my mind. Can you guys see why I have such respect for Taylor? Like this is incredible. So, did you know before you started what you were going to build? Like, did you know you were going to sell 100 plus homes, or were you like was 28 like that seems cool? Like, what was it like? What was your mindset starting out?
Absolutely not. I had no clue what I was doing. Okay, so I grew up in the poorest county in North Carolina. Real estate was never even on my radar. I wanted to work in higher education, and I did work in higher education for 2 years before I quit my job and moved. So real estate was just something I did because everyone says, "Oh, you would probably be good at that." And I was starting over, and because of COVID and the pandemic, my job field was no longer hiring at the time, at least in my area because state budgets were frozen because I was working for state institutions. So I just got my real estate license on a whim. I had no clue what to expect, did not know what I was doing. My goal was to sell 10 houses, and that really felt like impossible. And then my goal the next year was to go from 28 units to 40. And that also felt impossible. And then when I sold 145 houses, my goal that year was 100. And I mean, I didn't think I was going to do it until I did it.
I love it. So I might be jumping ahead, but what you have a wildly successful like, business as a solo agent. You have back office support and you have some leverage, but like, why start a team? What was it at that point where like, okay, you know what? Next phase is team.
Because I never want to sell 145 houses solo again because I have so much business that is coming into us that I could never handle it on my own, period. But I definitely couldn't do it with any sanity. Like yesterday, I got 8 leads yesterday, and they're all warm. They're not like hitting a sign call. They're not Zillow. They're like people who are reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, someone told us about you." Or I had an agent who reached out to us and said, "I have 3 people that are moving to your area. Can you take care of them?" Sure. I cannot do it myself, nor do I want to ever again.
All right, so we're gonna talk about how you ended up having so much business because I think by the way, everyone I talked to who start teams, there's a few different reasons why they do, and the absolute best reason to start a team is what you just said. You have a natural overflow of leads, and you got to do something with them. There's a few ways you can structure it and handle it, and if we don't get into it today, maybe we'll talk offline. I'd love to know how you're structuring your team, and there's like 3 different models I've seen, and some work better for some personality types. But let's talk first about how how did you get this overabundance of business? Like what did you do?
Yeah, so like I said, I started in a brand new market. So it's not like I had friends and family. I did not know anyone except for my husband. My first ever deal came from an agent referral from Facebook. So social media is definitely the foundation because got to think like at the time interest rates were super low. So houses were flying off the market. It's not like I could host a bunch of open houses to get leads. Door knocking was not happening for me. I was pregnant in a new state. It's not safe. I didn't know how to cold call, didn't have any money for leads. So I said, you know what? I can virtually meet people online. So it was social media, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm posting great Instagram content and people are just finding me. It was networking and building a brand. So like how many people can I talk to a day? How much content can I put out? How much value can I give? How many people can I interact with on Facebook groups? And then when I got my first deal, I got it from an agent referral, and that client sent me their friend, and that was my second deal. And then since then, I've closed them both twice because they bought and sold, and they've sent me their friends. And so I realized if you can be really good at networking and building a brand that's recognizable and relatable to the people that you want to work with, and then you can have a real good relationship with them and not just stop talking to them at the closing table, it will pay you back tenfold. So I went on a listing appointment yesterday and I said, "How did you find me?" And he said, "I asked around and everybody recommended you." And not everybody is probably past clients or just people that know my name.
And when you say know your name, like in your town, correct?
Yes, of
And
course.
you and just to keep saying it, because obviously referrals are a big part of your business, Columbia, South Carolina.
Columbia, South Carolina. That's
Okay.
right.
Taley Hunt, Columbia, South Carolina. I just figured I'd say that for you a couple times. All right. So how did you learn when you said that, creating content? Like, did you learn it in school and you start, like, did you learn from other people in the industry? How'd you figure this out?
Yeah, so I mean I'm 29, right? So I grew up in an era where people were online. So that's one thing. But even if I had not, one of the biggest things that was helpful for me was finding real estate agents who, in my mind, were crushing it in a way that I wanted to. So the people who were showing up online every day, who were creating the type of content that appealed to me and saying, I want to learn from them and see what they're doing, and just finding inspiration in that and figuring out how I could take the tactics that they were using and the type of content they were putting out there and flip it and make it applicable to my brand, my market, my target audience. But the start of it is really deciding like who do you want to work with? And then how do you find yourself being in spaces and being attractive to that specific type of person?
And that's definitely where that business school education comes in because that's what they teach you, right? You understand how do you identify an audience and how do you and
Yeah.
and now you're able to teach other agents that, which I think is really cool. Like they don't have to go get an MBA to learn what you're doing.
100%. And I would too say that like my master's in business I did in a year and a half. It was an accelerated program where I took 4 classes a semester. So it was miserable and awful. And I wouldn't say that I learned like a ton from it in terms of business sense, but it taught me grit and it taught me how to do things even when they're hard. I mean, how to do it like crying, killing it, struggling with finance and accounting and all the things and still trying to figure it out. And then my mass communication degree, it was a public relations focus. And so I learned like, how do people really want to be interacted with? What does goodwill mean? How do you keep a good relationship with people? And now I get to teach that to other moms. And it's really cool because it's hard to find confidence in yourself, and I struggle with that even still today. So to be able to equip these people with the tools that they need to go out and feel confident in the way they're running their businesses is really fun.
It, it's so inspiring, Taley. It really is. I just hope you know, I just love like chatting to you. You have such a great energy, and I understand why people have gravitated to you. So, um, your first couple like deals obviously came from referral. You did a great job. Um, has your content strategy evolved over the years, or is it pretty similar like to what you started out with?
100%. So I don't think that what you start at is where you end at or what you have to do all the time. I think you do what you do and you figure out what works and then you stick to it. My Instagram was always geared towards buyers and sellers until I started having this surplus of agents follow me. And I think it was because I started to have so much success, and people knew about it and they were like, what is this girl doing? I want to learn. So I had a ton of agents who started to follow me. And then I started getting calls like this, like, can I have you on my podcast? Can I have you on my thing? Can you teach? And so I would, and then other agents would follow me. And then it became can you teach me personally? Can you coach me? Can you show me what you're doing? And when I'm slinging 145 houses in a year, I don't have a lot of time to like sit down one-on-one with everybody. And so then I realized there are people that want to learn from me, and a huge portion of my business is agent referrals. So I'm just going to cut Instagram altogether and stop talking to buyers and sellers because my content that I was putting for buyers and sellers wasn't working anymore because so many agents were following me. So I realized my audience has changed. I've got to change my content. And so I did. And last year we got over 100 agent referrals. The year before that, we got over 100 agent referrals. And I was able to start my coaching business from that too. But it was because the natural succession of like a lot of agents started following me. So I had a bigger audience, one that I never predicted. Now I still have an Instagram for my real estate team. But to be honest with you, almost every person that follows me on there is also a real estate agent because they just kind of flock. So, but my content for my Instagram automatically gets posted on Facebook. And so the social media leads that we are getting now are from Facebook because I do have a lot of followers on Facebook that are agents, but also a good community there too of local people. So it
Got it.
works.
So Facebook is generating buyer and seller leads,
Yes.
and Instagram is more because the algorithm started saying it's agents that are watching you, so it's agent referrals, which
Yeah.
are amazing leads, by the way. Don't you think most agents would raise their hand and say, "Would you like to do business with just referral after referral after referral?" I'm seeing
Yeah.
Allison is on camera, nod her head. Yeah, that's what agents want. I mean, I imagine, right, Taley?
Yeah. I mean, we made over $350,000 net last year from agent referrals.
And what's your average price point in Columbia, South Carolina?
Our average price point is around 315, 320. It's not very high.
I mean, so when you say you made 350,000 at your price points, that's a lot of houses, right?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So last year we made 1.3 million GCI and 350,000 net of that was agent referral. So about 30% of our business overall, 35% was agent referrals last year.
Okay, so let's stay on agent referrals just for a minute. If it's 35% of your biz, are they coming from all over the country, or have you identified certain markets that typically refer to Columbia?
They're all over the country, all over. And it is very random. I got four of them yesterday. One from one agent, three from another agent. But I'm getting an average of one warm lead a day from some source. And a huge of them are agent referrals where we have people who will reach out to us and say, hey, I've got somebody moving there. Can you help them? And so we have a lot of that happens. And it's from all over. I mean, from anywhere and everywhere.
Have you seen anyone else duplicate that sort of like? Is it because Columbia? Like, is there anyone in Columbia doing what you do, or like would this work in other cities? What do you think?
I don't think that there's anybody else in Columbia that's getting the amount of agent referrals that we are. I know that, so last year, based on what I can tell from our MLS, our team was number 3 in the market with 2 agents versus the 2 higher teams that have several agents. So I think that the amount we're doing for the size is the biggest, but there are teams that are closing more than us. They also are doing it differently, like Zillow leads or whatever.
I was just gonna say, like, I talk to a lot of agents. I'm part of a lot of masterminds with high producing teams all over the country. I don't think there's many agents in any city doing as much agent referral as you are. Like, truly, like, you are probably at the top 1 or 2% of agent referrals for any team of any size.
Well, it's been like 4 years in the making, right? So we got several in year one, but that was because I realized very early on that there was an untapped market. And the thing is that there are definitely agents in my market that get agent referrals, but not as many as we do. And I just got a text message yesterday from an agent who said, "Hey, is there anybody who can last minute show a buyer? I sent them to another agent in your market, and they just told me today that they're inactivating their license and they were scheduled to show houses to this buyer this afternoon." And I said, "Sure, we can take it. Now, don't ever send that referral to anybody else but us again. Like, we're going to be the ones that are your go-to." So we work really hard at maintaining relationships with agents too. It's not just send us a deal and we'll never talk to you again. We talk to them, at least 4 times a year or give them something so that they remember who we are. And we could be better at that, but we do our best.
So you treat your agent network almost like a sphere of influence. Like,
You lead generate agents the same way you lead generate buyers and sellers. And the thing is that any lead generation method you do has to have consistency, strategy, and intentionality. And for us, it is how do we get ourselves in front of as many people as possible, capture their information, and talk to them on a regular basis. So we're always in front of people. And again, we could do better at that. Like our team structure, I feel that I've been in the trenches for a long time. And now that I'm stepping more into leadership on our team, I'll have more of an ability to really be a little bit more strategic. So I just imagine like where we could go.
all right, okay. I'm going to come back to that question. I want to ask you about, I got a couple more things because you said 30% of the business is from agent referral. Where's the rest of it from? And what are you doing to generate that?
Yeah, so half of our business last year came from our database. It's like the traditional boring stuff that nobody really wants to do. Talk to your people. We are in front of our database all of the time. Client events, pop buys, giveaways, newsletters, quarterly calls and texts, reminders to apply for this tax rate, reminders to take your settlement statement and use it in your taxes, checking in for at least 6 months after they close through email drips. So we are like always in front of them all of the time so that they can't forget about us. And I mean, I sat down at a listing appointment yesterday and I said, if I if you never hear from me again or if you forget about us after we close, it's because you have amnesia, because you will not ever forget about us. We will always be around. So if that's not good for you, then don't hire us. And also from social. So Facebook, usually agent referrals and our database, people hiring us again or recommending us to somebody.
It's funny. Well, first of all, you have a great sense of humor. Like, do you say that line about like, if you forget about us, you have amnesia?
Yeah, I used to say dementia, but I thought it was a little crass. So I say amnesia. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's your authenticity that shines through everything you do, which is so cool. All right. So you say it's the boring stuff, but that's the stuff that works. And I'm assuming with your team now, you're having your team help you with that stuff as well.
Not really. I
Uh,
mean, we did
So you,
pop
you do it
by.
all for them and they just show up and the leads just show
Yeah.
up.
I mean, we to give them credit, we did pop buys this past week and they all delivered them, hand delivered them. We will probably never have them do that again because it took them a long time. It was like 60 doors a piece, or more. So and I will say that I teach them like show up on social media and do all the things, but our goal is to be able to help them hit their goals and to teach them how to fish, but we definitely want to provide the support and the leads as much as we can.
I love it. So what's your vision and where do you see you going with the team? Like you said, I know and you mentioned a comment about scaling. I'm just curious, like, where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, so I'm currently leading the listings on our team. So the buyers are typically working with agent partners on my team while I'm handling the listings. So year to date, I've done 38 listing appointments. So I'm really focusing on that. Our next two hires,
Hold on. Can I just give some context in case someone's watching this recording like a year from now or 6 months? It is March 18th. You've gone on how many listing appointments since January?
38.
38. That's more
Yeah.
than some agents make in the entire year, and it's only March. I just want to give some context for the recording for. All right, go ahead, Taylor.
Well, when I got off of working with so many buyers, there's just something that happens. Like, what do they say? What you focus on expands. So when I stopped working with so many buyers, I started attracting more listings because then I'm focusing on that. I'm marketing that. I'm showing up in that way. So 38 of those. And then our next couple hires will be a dedicated listing specialist, someone who can help me and take over that part of the business. Because my goal is to be able to full-fledged step into the person who's building the brand and bringing in the business and then leading the ship so well that we are just coasting. I want us to grow and I want to see the agents on my team grow. So what I'm really good at is bringing in business and building our brand. And if I can have more time to think about that and to put those things into action, our team will grow as a result of it.
I love that. Are you familiar with EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System?
I have heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
I'll send you some stuff offline. For where you're going next, you probably already have a framework, but if you're looking for something that a lot of teams have been using with some pretty good success, EOS has been amazing in terms of as you step into the next role for scale your team. Um, all right. Two questions. If we have time, I got more. If you
Yeah.
could wave a magic wand and like change, I mean, I know it's amazing. Like everything you're doing is great, and the answer might be nothing. But if you could wave a magic wand and change something in your world or your business, what like immediately, what would it be?
I would have it all figured out to the point to where I'm done working every day at 12. But that will only be a year from now. So in a year, that's where I'll be. But if I could do it today, I would.
All right, we're gonna schedule another podcast for next year because I
Yeah.
want to celebrate it when you're like done by 12. I love it.
Yeah.
Like I gave myself the gift of taking off every Friday, right, a couple of years ago, and that's been like my wife doesn't work on Fridays. We have a day date on Friday, so having that structure. I'm assuming for you the off at 12 is so you can spend time with kids, or what is the done at 12 for you?
It's a mixture. So I run this really successful real estate business and I also run a really successful coaching business. So I have a program, a monthly membership for moms in real estate. And right now we have almost 400 moms who are in that. And we're doing our first live in-person event in August. And I also have a mastermind for really high producing agents as well. And I love that. I really believe that real estate has been the vehicle to get me to where I really want to be and what my passion is. And that is something I'm super passionate about. So I'd ideally love to be done with real estate at 12, done with coaching by 3, spend the rest of the day with my baby.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. All right. Um, So you already kind of, I was going to ask you what's next, but you already kind of answered that. By the way, tell people where we don't like pitch or sell things on this thing, but I want people to know where to find you. Like
Yeah.
because I love that you have coaching. Anything that works that's helping agents, I'm happy to
Yeah.
talk about it. So how do people find you? Where do they connect with you?
You can find me on Instagram at Realtor Mom Coach or taleyhunt.com. And there's a lot of information on both. I have a blog that I post on multiple times a month on my website. I send out newsletters multiple times a week to our agents, just giving them encouragement and advice. So whatever I can do to help, I'm happy to.
I love it. All right, so then we'll wrap up with this, and this might be you're so good at talking in like very quick, short. Like I can tell how efficient you must be in your business, right? Like
Yeah.
do you have any advice? Let's do two pieces of advice. One for someone newer who's watching this, who might be where you were a couple of years ago. In
Mhm.
today's market, 2020, 2025, almost said 2024, 2025, what would you tell them, what would you tell them to focus on? What should they do first?
You have to be quick to action. And that is like anybody, right? When you think about it and it takes you 2 weeks to execute, somebody else did it in a day, right? That is my coach tells me that my superpower is having a bias towards action. I just do it. When I want something done, I make it happen. When I want to do a lead generation strategy, I do it. When I want to execute any sort of play in our business, we do it. We don't sit around and try to figure it out. We don't look for the potholes. We don't look for the roadblocks. We figure it out as we go. I mean, I sold hundreds of houses without having a really good website. Like you don't have to have it all together. Just freaking do it. Find a good mentor, figure out who it is you want to work with, and just do it.
I love it. And advice for an agent who might be, they're at the 20 to 30 deals a year, but they're bumping their head against it. They're like every year, like they can't get past that. What advice would you give for them?
Before you try something new, do 10 times more of what's already working. If you don't already have a mentor, hire one. Invest in your business that way. That is a form of leverage so that you're not relying on your own ability or inability. And then when it's time, not too fast, when it's time to find leverage in your business so you can take something that is not money making off of your plate, do it.
Really good advice. How did you find, and you don't have to share who your coach is if you don't want to, but how did you find your coach? Like I'm assuming every top producer I've ever seen
Yeah.
has a coach. How did you find your coach?
I'm licensed under KW, and my coach is Jordan Freed with KW Maps, and
Cool.
he's changed my entire life. He is amazing.
Isn't that amazing how a single individual can make such an impact?
Absolutely. It is. It is absolutely insane. When I talk to my girls that I coach and they say, hey, you helped me triple my income or triple this or do that, it's really cool. So I try to tell my coach as much as I can, like, you have totally impacted my world. It makes people like us keep going. And that's why I think it's real important to, even if it's not somebody you're paying, like just learn from somebody because there are people out there that know better than you.
That's a great question. So what do you said you don't have to pay them, right? To me, that's the difference between mentorship and coaching, right? What do you see as the difference between mentorship and coaching?
I think somebody who's your mentor is somebody who can be a solid guide for you and a pillar for you, right? Like you got to make sure that your core values align and that this person is actually doing what you want to do. Do you have somebody in your corner that you can call for advice when you need it, or when you're about to make a big business decision, they can kind of tell you, I would do that, or I wouldn't do that. Like, here's how you could probably do it better. It doesn't even have to necessarily be somebody that's local to you. And then coaching, I think, is somebody who it's not always about accountability. You know, like my coach does not give me accountability. I don't need accountability. I'm going to work hard regardless. I need somebody who can get me out of my own head and teach me things that I don't know, and how to be better and how to build the life that I want. So I think you've got to figure out like what it is you need. Do you need somebody to hold your feet to the fire, or do you need somebody to show you how to get the life that you want to live, or both, and find somebody who resonates with that?
I love it. All right, last thing before we wrap up. Take us back to the days before you had the team when it was just you. Maybe at like the 80 deals a year mark. I know 145 was off the charts, too busy. Like, let's go like the 80. Um, what was your day like? Like, did you wake up and you were like from 4 a.m. doing before your kids woke up? Like, what did it look like?
It was a hot mess. I didn't have any sort of calendar. I mean, I put stuff on my calendar, but there was no time blocking. There was no management. It was messy. And that was because I was so used to doing everything with the baby on my hip. That's what I mean when I say like you don't have to have it all figured out. I sold 86 houses in my second year in the business with no schedule that really made sense, right? And that resulted in a lot of burnout and being exhausted. So I don't recommend it. But I was just doing everything I could. Before she got up, I worked. When she was at school, I worked. After she went to bed, I worked. I did everything I could. And that kind of grind is not something that everybody can do. But I believe that if you work your tail off for 5 years, you can be anywhere you want to be.
I think it just gives so much hope and like just do it even if it's messy. And how old's your daughter now?
She turns 4 this month.
4. So by the time she's 5,
Mhm.
you'll be off at noons, right?
Yep.
I love it.
That's the intention.
I love it. All right. So Taley Hunt, Columbia, South Carolina. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up here, Taley?
No, I am good to go. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. This was wonderful. Nice to connect. Have a great day,
Thank
everybody.
you. All right, bye.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.